Hi! I've talked about depression a lot on this channel. Mostly it's my personal experiences and how I've coped with it, but there are many different types of depression that I have not talked about yet. So today I want to share with you 9 different types of depression that everyone needs to know. Before we talk about the types of depression, let's talk about what depression is. Whether you are a new mom who just gave birth to an infant and you're feeling a little bit down, or a college student who's overwhelmed with school and work, or just someone who has lost somebody and is grieving, every definition of depression is going to be a little bit different depending on who you are. Depression is not just feeling sad. Symptoms generally include anything between hopelessness and physical symptoms, depending on what type of depression you are experiencing. So the word depression is an umbrella term for these 9 different types of depression. Major depression. This is the most common type of depression, with 7% of our US population having this at any given time. Extreme sadness, hopelessness, lack of sleep, lack of eating, and even suicidal thoughts are very common with this type of depression. Major depression has to last more than 2 weeks, and some people only experience 1 episode of it. Dysthymia. About 2% of our population has dysthymia. This type of depression is different than the other ones because this is more of a chronic, long-term depression. It could last anywhere between 6 months to a year or more. The symptoms of this type of depression are very similar to major depression, but they're less severe. Postpartum depression. This type of depression is not really talked about. I had a friend who was going through this 6 months ago after she gave birth to her infant, and she was telling me that it's something that moms do not talk about, because when you give birth to a baby, you're supposed to be happy, you're supposed to be joyful, but for some people, that's not the case. It's very common for new moms to have some sort of sadness. 85% of moms actually have some sort of sadness after they give birth, but there's another percentage of women who experience a more intense sadness, which could lead to depression. Their symptoms can be very similar to major depression. They feel hopeless, they sleep a lot, they eat a lot, they gain weight, as well as they don't feel a connection to their infant, or they fear that they're going to hurt their infant or not be a good mother. This can occur within a few weeks of the birth up to a few months after the birth. It all depends on the person. Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. This type of depression only happens during a certain season. Usually it's winter. When it starts getting gloomy outside, more cold, you're spending more time inside, it's more dark outside, that's when these individuals start experiencing depression. 4 to 6% of Americans do experience this, so it is something that happens. I've experienced it before too. Symptoms can include anxiety, irritability, weight gain, the common depressive symptoms, but they only occur for a few months within a year. Atypical depression. Don't let the name fool you. Atypical depression is very common actually. According to doctors, atypical depression is not really understood and very underdiagnosed. Signs of this type of depression could be heaviness in the limbs, the arms, and the legs, oversleeping, overeating, weight gain, and relationship problems. Psychotic depression. Psychosis is a mental state categorized by a false belief or delusions or false sights or sounds, hallucinations. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, 20% of people who experience depression, it can get so severe that people start seeing things or hearing things or feeling things that aren't there. People with this type of depression, it can get so bad that they can be catatonic, they won't be able to speak, they don't move, and they don't want to get out of bed. Bipolar disorder. There are 3 different types of bipolar disorder, but today I'm just going to be talking about them in general. I have a whole video on bipolar disorder if you would like to go check that out. Bipolar disorder is when someone has high moods and low moods. The high moods is called mania. Mania is when you have high energy, lots of thoughts, poor judgment, and the low moods is when you have a depressive mood. You're sad, you're hopeless, you have lack of energy, things like that. Symptoms can go back and forth multiple times within a year. And there's different types of bipolar disorder, so again, go watch that video, it's really educational. Situational depression. This can also be called adjustment disorder, and it's triggered by a stressful event, maybe a death in the family, maybe a traumatic experience, maybe a loss of a job, or even a bad breakup. This type of depression is very common, and it doesn't last a long time. Usually this type of depression could last anywhere between a week to a few months, and situational depression can turn into major depression if you're not careful and if you don't get treatment. Pmdd. premenstrual dysphoric disorder. This is a very new diagnosis that went into the DSM-5, and it's very controversial. A lot of people think it's PMS, a lot of people think it's not, a lot of people think it should not be in there. I have a whole video on it if you want to go check that out as well, and my friend shares her experiences with it. What PMDD is you experience premenstrual symptoms 2 weeks up until your menstrual cycle. It's very different than PMS. PMS, it's like your boobs hurt and you get moody, crave things. This is not what that is. This is that on steroids. Some people who have this disorder can become suicidal those 2 weeks before their period. It's very serious, and it's very good that we have this diagnosis now so people can start getting help. Those are the 9 types of depression. If you would like me to make a video specifically on any of them, let me know down below. What are you interested in? I will gladly make a video. Let me know your comments down below. Did you learn anything in this video? Did anything surprise you? Also, if you have any video requests, please leave them down below. I love hearing what you guys have to say. I would like to thank my amazing patrons on Patreon. I would like to thank Max, Mike, Michael, Rudy, and Taylor. If you would like to support like Kristen, the link is right here. If you would like to subscribe, it's right here. And if you want to watch another video, click right here. Anyway, I love you guys. Please stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.